Clarkson. She joins us now on the MegaCast. She's the Executive Director of Dog Aide. You have been helping dogs of Detroit for quite some time.
Yeah, it's going to be 10 years in November.
Can you believe that much time has passed?
No.
So, and with that, Jen, before we kind of get into the stories, how did Dog Aide even get started?
We actually started as a rescue organization. Many of us had been rescuing dogs. The founders had been rescuing dogs independently and all came together to try to start to rescue dogs in the city that we saw had emergency medical situations. And we quickly sort of realized that the scope of the problem was a lot bigger than what we were seeing, and that we needed to try to address it from the most basic level that we possibly could.
And so with that as well, how does your organization operate on a day-to-day basis today?
So our organization is an outreach only organization. We don't do any rescue at all. And what we do is we work with the citizens in Detroit who own pets to help them keep their pets in their home, offering resources like food or leashes or collars at the most basic. We also will provide free spay neuter service for any owned dog in the city. We help with vaccines, anything that anybody is really struggling with to care for their pet.
We're talking with Jen Clarkson. She's the Executive Director for Dog Aide. And with that, Jen, I'm sure that you have so many stories to share, some of them heartbreaking.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. After 10 years, I've seen the gamut. There's no doubt about that.
But one of the things throughout the pandemic, we know that families a lot of time are struggling just to feed, their kids throughout the pandemic. And so sometimes it can be hard for them when they have pets to, that trying to stretch those dollars to feed their pet as well.
Yeah, and we really look at ourselves as what we provide is an opportunity to be able to alleviate some of the stress that people have especially in these COVID times, just to make sure that when they're struggling to feed their children, when they're struggling to pay bills, that they don't have to think about pet food or pet care, and they don't have to consider the possibility that they might have to give up their family member to make the best choice for the animal. We would never want them to be in that situation. So a lot of this is retention too. This is our intervention, making sure that those animals don't end up in our shelter system either.
What a great program. And because we do know too, when it comes to vet bills, they can be so expensive. So sometimes, a dog or a cat, they get some type of ailment, but because of a tight budget, their owners don't take them to the vet, and then the problem becomes worse. Mm-hmm. And so this is a great way to kind of bridge that gap, help the keep the pet with the family, but also get the pet the care that it needs.
Absolutely. And, I think that we take for granted very often that people understand things as basic as vaccines and how they can be helpful. And so we look at ourselves or we look at this as an opportunity to be able to share information that we know that somebody else might not have, so that they're making the best choices that they can to move forward in order to be a great pet parent.
So I would imagine donations are always welcome.
Always. We're a nonprofit, so we function 100% on donations, and none of our directors, none of our board members, nobody gets paid. So everything that comes to us goes into our programs.
So with that, Jim, what's it been like over the past year with donations? Because we do know a lot of nonprofits, the need has been greater, but also trying to raise money has been a bit more difficult through the COVID crisis.
I would actually count us as really lucky. We have a very great base of supporters who's never backed down from making sure we had what we needed. We're also very proud about the fact that we function on a very tight budget. and we know how to make our dollar stretch. So we have never felt in the position that we needed to cut back on anything, and we've pretty much stayed the course in terms of the donations coming in, which has been fabulous, because that means that our families are getting what they need.
So tell us more about Project Grace.
Project Grace is a program that we developed, I think it's been 4 years. Yeah, 2016 we started it. We run it with another organization called Bark Nation, who also functions in Detroit. And what it is a free spay neuter program for any owned dog in the city. So we will spay or neuter your pet. They get vaccines with that. They get a microchip, and they get their city license as well. So we're keeping them compliant with the city of Detroit in terms of what they need. We're with the microchip, that gives them the ability, if that dog gets lost, that dog has a much greater chance of getting back home. If they end up in the shelter, they're getting back home. So we're trying to reunite those pets. They get that first round of vaccines, so they're kept happy and healthy, and we're contributing, or we're trying to take away from the overpopulation of animals in the city that end up on the streets. We've done, since 2016, we've done close to 1,500 animals.
That's a lot of animals.
It is. Yeah, if you
And
start to think about how many litters a dog can have in a year times 1,500, we feel like we're more than happily accomplishing what our goal is.
so do you only focus on dogs, or do you dogs and cats?
At the moment, we're only doing dogs, just because the two organizations that developed the program, that was our sole focus. I can't say in the future, as things get where we want them with dogs, that we won't include cats in those numbers, but at the moment, only dogs.
We know the city of Detroit a few years ago really was making headlines because of the dogs in Detroit, and there are so many
Yeah.
stray dogs. It's heartbreaking to see them, in abandoned buildings and abandoned houses, roaming the streets. And we've also seen the heartbreaking stories where loose dogs have injured people and children. So when the headlines make national news like that, does it help your organization because people are becoming more aware of the problem?
It does. And because with that awareness, it brings assistance potentially. So um, we once again, we pride ourselves on the fact that we work with all of the shelters in the city of Detroit. We are on a very friendly basis with all of them. Those are relationships we've worked very hard on, so that we can get them to understand what we're seeing as citizens, and really put forth to them what we think needs to be done. And they've been very open to those conversations. And by having those headlines on a regular basis, it started to make national organizations that would be potentially making donations pay attention. They know that Detroit needed the help, and it's really, especially in the last couple of years, it's really started to be impactful in terms of who's paying attention to what we're doing here.
So how does a program such as Project Grace work? Do you have a list of families that you work directly with? Because I would imagine you have to make schedule appointments, to be able to get their pets or their dogs fixed.
So when we started the Project Grace, we worked with an organization out of Warren called All About Animals, who has a mobile surgical unit. And we would have them bring that surgical van truck into the city, and we would set up appointments, and people would bring their dogs right to us wherever we had the vans set up. Because of COVID, we obviously weren't able to be having contact with other people. So we switched to a voucher system. So if you get a hold of us, and we have a Facebook page, it's listed on the Dog Aide website. We have flyers that we pass out. We post on any next door pages that we can find. If you get in contact with us, we will send you a voucher in the mail. and we list out multiple veterinarians on there that work with us, that you can call whoever is closest to you, whatever's most convenient, and make an appointment with them and utilize those services.
We're talking with Jen Clarkson. She's the executive director for Dog Aide. And with that, Jen, just another minute or two with you here on the show.
Yeah.
Anything maybe we didn't talk about that you want to add, or how can people get involved if they want to volunteer or donate?
So we do have a website that's dogaide.com, DOGAIDE.com. We have a Facebook page, and we're always looking for volunteers. You can contact us through the Facebook page. You can contact us through the website if that's something you want to do. We do have a monthly outreach program where anybody who is one of our clients, we go to their house. We check in to make sure everything's okay with them. We drop off food and any other necessities that they might have asked for over the last month. So we have that going on. We have another project that we just launched where we're going to be building kennels for some dogs that live outdoors most of the time so that they can be more free roaming. So if somebody wants to get involved in terms of building or, a really hands-on kind of a project, we have about 80 active volunteers. So we always have places for people to plug in and help out. And in terms of donations, you can always contact us at those same, the website or the Facebook page too. And we'll happily take, all kinds of different things. We have
On the top of the list of most needed items right now.
We always are looking for tie-outs because we want to keep dogs safe and in their yards if need be. We're always looking for collars. Everybody's, dogs go through collars pretty quickly. So we always like to have a good supply of those. Treats, of course, because we love to be able to treat the pups when we see them. And food is always huge. We go through about 5,000 pounds of food a month. So yeah, we're always cycling through that constantly.
So when it comes to food, I know that, they say dogs should eat the same thing because their stomachs can get upset if you switch the food that you're feeding them. So do you have a particular brand that you want, or at this time, it just doesn't really matter?
I wish that we could, that we could feed them the same thing every time. We've not been able to consistently have that available to us. On our website, we do have a Chewy wish list and an Amazon wish list, and we do only have, I think, one type of food listed on there. So if we can, we're always going to give the same food. We do have some dogs in our program that have allergies, and we make sure that as donations are coming in, that certain things are set aside for those certain dogs, so they're not getting the items that might cause allergic reactions for them. So we try to be as cognizant about that as we can. Yes.
You're listening to 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake, 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Jen Clarkson with us here on the MegaCast. She's the executive director for Dog Aide. Jen, it's been so great talking with you. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Ronnie. I really appreciate you having me on today.
Well, and thank you to you and your team for everything that you do for the dogs of Detroit. I know that you're really making a difference in so many pets' lives. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.